Well, this movie was attacked by wolves, and so I want you to tell them just a little taste so they'll know what they can expect in psychology.
Look here, in high school, okay, I was in junior high, I was in 8th grade, Phil was in the 10th, okay? And every time he would come home and say, I'm going out on a date with Kay, Mama would say, take your younger brother. Whatever it was, take your younger brother. So he come in Friday evening and he said, Mama, me and the guys from the football team, we're going camping out on Red River and catching some catfish. And she said, well, that sounds good because I'm fish hungry. Next word out of her mouth was, take your brother. So I get to go on the camping trip and we drive up on this side of Red River. And they drive up there and they show me, they said, there's a boat down there. They show me how to crank the motor, and they see that big tree laying on the bank over there, motor across to it, tie the boat up real good where it don't get lost, and then walk up the trail, and you'll see the little campsite in the woods. I said, okay, so they watch me go, and they watch me tie the boat up, and I'll go up there, and I'm in a little clearing, about 30-yard circle, and the sun starts going down. Well, I didn't like darkness, okay, because there's too many things that wouldn't bump in the night for me, okay? So I'm sitting there and the sun's going down, and what we call wolves, they was really coyotes. But let me tell you, they had got so bad, okay, they wouldn't attack a sick cow or a sick calf. There was enough of them that they was pulling grown bulls down and killing them, okay? So the farmers hired, trappers to come in, and when we'd go to high school on the bus, it wasn't nothing to see like all 100 hanging on the fence line that they had caught the night before. So I'm sitting there and it's getting dark, and they get to howling. And I'm getting scared because it's getting dark and the animals are howling. So it's getting dusty dark now, okay? And I'm looking. I have no idea where I'm at, number one. And I'm alone, okay? So I'm sitting there and I hear a noise and I look. One of them sticks his head out and looks in the clearing. I said, whoa. Then another sticks his head out over here, and another one. Well, by that time, look, if I had a coach that had a stopwatch on me, I would hold every running record from the 40-yard dash to the 10-mile run. Because, hey, I got up, and I'm like that guy that says, feet, don't fail me now. So I take off running. They get in behind me. So I'm in first gear, they're gaining. I said, oh, you're going to have to put it in second, son. I put it in second, they lose a little ground, and they catch back up. So I'm like, hey, you're going to have to go ahead and put it in third and put the hammer down. Well, hey, I'm in third gear now, leaving them again. Uh-oh, they start to catch up again. Son, go ahead and put it in fourth gear and put some gas to it. So, hey, I put it in fourth, put the gas to it, they still catching up. I said, well, hey, you just got to go all out. Put it in fifth and put the hammer down. So I did, and hey, I'm looking back, they getting further back. Okay, yeah, they disappeared. Okay, I'm still running. Yep, no, they ain't behind me. Okay. Okay. I think I've run far enough. I stopped, and I said, man, it's hot. Golly. I said, you have a shake, son. Yeah, but why is it so hot? And I smell rubber burning. And I said, well, some farmers burning brush piles, and they threw an old tire up there to start the fire. And it's getting hot. Oh, good grief. Is it getting hot? I'm sweating. And I'm smelling smoke. And the smoke smelled like burnt rubber. And I look down, and my kids' tennis shoes are on fire. So, hey, it just happened to be a ditch over, and oh, man. No wonder it was so hot. Look here, I had run so fast, I had caught them kids' tennis shoes on fire.
What about like that, Alabama? You like that story?
Look here. Hey, every bit of that story is true, except one thing, and I'll let y'all figure out what that was.
That's that 95% rule we talk about with side. And there's a lot of those in the book, which is a lot of fun. And so it's been a lot of fun for me, obviously living a lot of those stories out when I'm beside. Now, another question we get asked a lot when we're on the road, and this is also in the book, is where did the tea glass come from, right? How many of you have wondered that question? Where did the tea glass come from, right? Because you see, it's right here on stage, and it goes everywhere side goes. Somebody offered him at an appearance just this past year a blank check. A blank check. Now, of course, that may not mean that they don't have any money, right? But the people around him said, this guy's got money for that teacup. You know what Si said? What'd you say, Si?
Hey, I said I can't sell it. Number one, A&E would have a fit if I sold it. Okay? But what people don't understand, look, somebody asked me just a few minutes ago. There's a lady, she said, hey, my son wanted to know, what are the three things that you never leave home without? And I said, well, one of them's this teacup, the other one's a Bible, and then the other one's a gun, a pistol. And I said, here's the way we are. I said, okay, look, I prefer to have a Bible study with you, but if you want to have a shootout, we can have that. You know, and look, if we have a shootout, it's going to make me thirsty.
And Si, tell them where how you got the cup, because everybody wants to know about the cup. What's this another little sneak peek of the book?
Look here. At one time, the only way you could get one of these things is you had to have a personal invitation to a Tupperware party. Okay? And my mother was invited to some, and she bought some of these. Well, I grow up, get drafted. Okay. Well, the reason I got drafted, look, this is for all you college students. The reason I got drafted is because I flunked out of college. Hey, because all I was doing was partying. Okay? So, hey, if you're going to party, get the grades first. Okay? But anyway, so I get drafted and I go to Vietnam. My mom sent this in a pair of cowboy boots, okay, stuck inside with 2 jars of jalapeno peppers, one inside this and one inside the other boot, okay, with about 4 more wrapped in newspaper, plus some pork and beans, some Spam, and a couple more jars of jalapeno peppers because I love them, okay. But that's where it came from, okay. Mama bought it at a Tupperware party, and I've had it somewhat 45 years. So this thing's been around the world with me.
I say that's pretty good. That cup has survived the Viet Cong and Si's life as well. And of course now it's kind of one of those iconic things that you see on the show. One of the things that you notice on our show, and probably maybe the moment that most of you love the most, because most of you tell me this when I'm out on the road, is that scene at the end around the dinner table, right? How many of you like that scene at the very end? One of the things that we've noticed, along with everybody else as we've gone through these years, our country is maybe not once as strong as it once was, and a big part of that reason is because the American family has really had a lot of issues. There's a lot of families, of course, that get broken apart, a lot of families that never come together to begin with, a lot of single-parent homes. And so one of the iconic parts of our show, and what we'd like to try to help lead America back to, is that faith, family, and in our case, ducks, but that which is your passion, need to become central back in the lives of its people. And that's what you see at that dinner table. And it's not just the prayer, although the prayer is obviously a very important spiritual reminder about what we're trying to do and what hopefully you're trying to do as your families here in America. But it's also the idea that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we're going to pull together, we're not going to turn on each other, and we're going to make it through whatever it is we're dealing with this particular day. And so that's very important for us, and it's very important for you.
Here, on the book, okay, look, the man that married his daughter, he does the audio for me on my book, okay? And he said, look, he's literally had nightmares ever since. Okay, so you need to read it. It's a good read.
Or a good listen, right? Jay, my son-in-law, the reason we asked him to do Si's book is because he was the one that does the best Si impersonation in our family. And so we figured he could, really tap into his inner Si as he's telling the stories. But I think it's turned him into a mini-me of Si. And we don't know if that's good or bad. We'll wait and see how that turns out. But it's very important for you to understand how tight-knit that our family really is. Si came back after he got out of the military. He actually lived in Alabama for a few years. And then he came, that's all right, you can give some applause. He was up in North Alabama. That's all right, it still counts. Si came back to Louisiana in 1999 to rejoin his brother and our family working at Duck Commander. And back in 1999, we were just hunting and making, videos and never knew any of this other stuff was ever going to happen. And so as we were building those duck calls and we were serving God and we were close-knit as a family, we began, even back then, spending every moment we could impacting other people with what we knew about our faith and about Jesus. That became very important to us. And so we want you to know that tonight as well. That's what motivates us to do this show. I mean, we love it. It's funny. And we have as much fun as it looks like we're having when you guys are watching it. No doubt about it. We love being together. But ultimately, we feel like God has appointed us a destiny. A destiny to be His people and be the most watched show on television, but to do it with a purpose. To impact other people with the good news of Jesus Christ. And I just want you to know that up front.
Let me tell you a little bit about my faith. I went to the doctor the other day, okay? And I guess I need to tell you, nothing's wrong, okay? I watch a lot of crime shows, okay? And when there's a bad crime, a murder or something, the lead detective always comes in and says, all right, have we got any DNA evidence? And they said, yeah, we got it. I said, okay, great. So, and they always show this thing in color, okay? And the ribbon or cord or rope, whatever you want to call it, is always real pretty. It's got real beautiful colors. So I went to the doctor the other day and I said, hey, doc, here's what I want you to do. Draw some blood. And I said, I want you to show me my DNA. And I said, look, don't use no black and white film. I want it in color, okay? And I said, by the way, how much is this thing going to cost? And he said, well, Mr. Robertson, that's going to cost $1,250. And I said, boy, y'all are really proud of this DNA test, ain't you? And $1,250, good grief. I said, okay. I said, well, how long is it going to take? And he said, oh, this is a very tedious process we got here. It'll take about 3 weeks. And I said, well, Doc, here's my phone number. I said, call me when you get it ready. And then I'll come up here and you can give me the dog and pony show on my DNA. So I go home. And the doc comes up, calls, hello. Yeah, it's Doc so-and-so. Okay, we got your DNA back. We're ready. I said, okay, I'll be up there. So I go in, and I said, okay, go ahead and show me what you got. He said, well, Mr. Robertson, you see this dull-looking brown over here on the left? I said, yeah. He said, that'd be your dad's DNA. And I said, well, that's about right. Paul was kind of a dull guy. He wasn't flashy or nothing, just, steady man, but nothing special. I said, that's about right. Dull brown. I said, well, what's that about that beautiful blue, pale blue over on the right? He said, well, that'd be your mom's DNA. I said, well, that's about right. I think that was Mom's, favorite color, sky blue. I said, that's really pretty. I said, what's that goofy-looking color all mixed together on the bottom of it? They said, well, that'd be your DNA. I said, well, that may be right too. I said, well, is that it, Doc? And he said, yeah, that's it, Mr. Robertson. I said, well, Doc, I got good news and I got bad news for you. Which one you want first? And he said, well, give me the bad news first. And I said, well, you know that $1,250 you're charging for this test? You're not going to get it. And he said, whoa, now, Mr. Robertson. Oh, yeah, you got to pay me. I said, no, you didn't get it right. And he said, Mr. Robertson, you don't understand. The reason the test is so expensive is that we double check it. We do it twice to make sure nothing is wrong. I said, Doc, I'm going to give you the good news now. Okay, why I'm not going to pay you. I said, in 1948, on the 27th of April, I was born. And I was a beautiful baby. Okay? And things rocked along from like when I was born till I got, about 14, 15, or 16 years old. Everything was great. Everybody loved me. I was a beautiful baby. I was a beautiful child. Nothing wrong until I hit about 16. And then the first thing that happened is I'm walking across the neighbor's yard and I look down and there's something in the yard there and I like it. I know it don't belong to me, but I like it. So, hey, I take it home. It's mine now. That's called stealing. Okay? 3 days go by, Mom tells me to go in and do something. Well, I'm 16 and I know it all. Okay? And I don't feel like doing it. Okay? That's not honoring your father and mother. Okay? To make a long story short, this is just 2 easy ones that I've done. Okay? I've done a lot worse. Okay? And it's called sin. So then, summertime comes up, school's out, and I go to a Christian camp. And I find out about this fellow called Jesus of Nazareth. And I find out who he is, the Son of God. I find out how much the Father loved me, that he sent him, sent his Son. And then the Son loved the Father enough and loved me enough to die on a cross for me. Okay? When I wasn't worth it, number one. Okay? But he loved me enough and he did it. And he willingly took my place on it. Okay? I deserved the punishment. He didn't. And then, that ain't the end of the story. He died on a cross. They took him down. They put him in a tomb. But the cross couldn't hold him. The grave couldn't hold him because 3 days later he rose from the dead. And I said, Doc, when I heard that story, I believed it and I was baptized into Jesus Christ for the remission of my sins. And you don't want to miss this part. And I received the gift of the Holy Spirit. That's God's DNA, Jack. And I've got it.
Now that story is 100% true. You can believe every bit of it, I guarantee you. It's similar with me. I was 16 years old, just like Si. And that's kind of when I went off the path. I grew up in a non-Christian home. Dad became a Christian. All of our lives were for the better. My younger brothers, they grew up mostly in a Christian home, but I had seen a lot of bad stuff. I guess it had more of an impact on me than I thought. Because even though we were in the best possible place, our church, Whites Ferry Road, a darkness started to grow inside me and pull me further and further away. And just like Si, I started to do things I knew were wrong, but I kept doing them anyway, again and again. But I was pretty good. I was sneaky. And so I was hiding in plain sight. I was right there in church, in the youth group, and it looked like I had the perfect thing going on, but inside it was dark and it was growing. I got into more and more trouble. And finally, when I turned 17, I thought, it's about time for me to, just bust out of this party. So I got real bold. And one night we went down and had a big drunk party right down a mile up the house from Mom and Dad. Now, Dad, as you know from the show, he's a little bit of a stoic character. And he's serious, at times. And so even though he was the way he was, I showed no fear in deciding I was just going to run and chase my buddies and do all the wrong things. We came back home the next Saturday morning, and we were sitting in there making duck calls, because in the early days we were all part of the business. So we were folding up duck call boxes and throwing them over in the box, and Dad was out on the front porch building calls with a guy named Catfish Powell. We're putting our duck calls in there. It was me and my 3 buddies. And about the time we were, just kind of nudging each other, thinking we'd really got away with something, there was a knock on the door. And it was Bill's parents. And they come in, and you can tell by the look on their face, they are hot. They are upset. And they looked at the 3 guys on the couch, and they said, these 3 were getting drunk last night. And my mom was sitting there just saying, what? And she looked at me because she knew I was with them, but they didn't know that. So she looked at me and she asked me, and you know how you get in one of those moments of truth? This was it. And she said, were you drinking too? And man, you see Miss Kay's face on the show. She's as sweet as she looks on the show. How could you break that woman's heart? But in sin and rebellion, you think you're a bigger man than you are. So I looked her straight in the face and I said, yes, ma'am, I was. And I mean, her face just sank. She had lived all those years with Dad. She had depended on me to help her with my brothers. And here I was going down the same path again. Her worst possible nightmare. Bill's parents said, we need to go over here and apologize to the neighbors. So we went over there, and I was thinking in the back of my mind about Dad out on that front porch. And boy, it wasn't 5 minutes. Here he come rolling up. And now he was hot. And I could see in his face, he was mad, he was disappointed, it was all of it. He couldn't even hardly say anything. And he just gave me one of these. I went and got in my car. And he looked at those other 3. It was Bill, and it was Greg, and it was Terry. And he told the 3 of them, he said, let me tell you boys something. You ever want to come down to see the Duck Commander again? You ever want to come to my house? You load up in that car, and you come over there, and whatever he gets, you get, or I don't ever want to see you around again. Well, now this is their moment of truth. You know what I mean? And I looked at them, and I was giving them, the no-go behind Dad's back. But you know what? Thick as thieves, right? They loaded up and came in there, and we pulled up in our front yard. 17, 18-year-old boys, and we get out, and Dad's taking his belt off. Now, I hadn't had a belt whipping at that point, in several years. You kind of get past that at some point, where the whippings probably aren't going to do any good anymore. But Dad, he didn't know what else to do. I had put him at a point in his life where he just didn't know how to handle me anymore. So my grandpa had a big old white behemoth of a car, a big Chrysler. And so we all got out, and Dad said, all right, boys, bend over the white car. We looked around like he's fixing to whip us. Now, this is another moment of truth, because you're thinking in your mind, could we take him? But, you've seen Dad. You look at Dad and say, nah. So we just, bent over the white car. Now, I don't know how it is with your parents. I don't know how they do it in Alabama. But, my dad would usually give you a little commentary as you're getting the whipping so you could understand what was happening, He just wanted to make sure you knew why this was going on. So the first guy up on the car was Bill. And remember, his parents are the one that came down and sort of sold us out, And they're standing there, and Dad looks at them, and he says, this is your son? And they said, get him, Phil. And they're like, all right. Son, this is embarrassing that I got to whip you right here in front of your own mother and father. So he stepped aside. The next guy was Greg, who's been our cameraman, for many years, a good friend, and he said, I tell you what, Greg, you better go home and tell your mom and dad that you got a whipping for getting drunk. If you don't tell them, I will. So Greg stepped aside. Next guy was Terry. Now, Terry had never been to my house before this day. He's never been back either, by the way. And so Terry's next up, and he looks at him and he says, son, I don't know who you are, but you go home and you tell your mom and dad that Phil Robertson gave you a whipping for getting drunk. Terry stepped aside. A little side note. About a year ago, 2 years ago, I was still at the church. One day at the back of the church, there was a guy there. And he said, you remember me? I said, you look familiar. I don't know. And he said, think about it. I said, did we go to school together? He said, bend over the white car. And I went, whoo, Terry, is that you? After all these years, I said, I've been telling that story all over the country. I said, let me just make sure my memory is right. What did Dad say to you whenever you were bent over that car and he was whipping you? He said, son, I don't know who you are, but you go home and tell your mom and dad. I said, just like I remember. And then came me. And I don't remember much except one thing he said. Al, after you saw what I did to your mama, son, this is the route you're going to go. Man, after that, it's just, I don't remember much else. Because that stung all the way down to the heart. I wish I could tell you that was the moment that turned me around and I didn't get into any more trouble, but it wasn't. See, when you decide to be a prodigal son, and you decide to be in rebellion against God and your family, a lot of times you got to get in all the way at the pig pen level before you're ready to come out. So not long after that, Dad and I had a serious talk, and he said, Al, if you're going to stay here, you're going to have to change. Otherwise, you've got to go. You're out of high school. You got your brothers. You're a terrible example. And so in my pride and rebellion, I left. And just like that kid in Luke 15, I went down to a faraway place to find myself. A spiritual oasis called New Orleans, Louisiana. Let me just tell you something. If you're going to go find yourself, don't go there, because you'll find more trouble. It's what you'll find in New Orleans. I almost got killed down there before I realized that this life was going to lead to an early grave. And it was going to lead me straight to hell, away from the Father and away from my family. I hightailed it back to North Louisiana. And when I got there, I hadn't talked to Dad in about a year. And when I got out, I said, Dad, I'm so sorry. I want to change, but I don't know how. And just like that father did in Luke 15, he embraced me and we celebrated. We didn't have a fattened calf. We had fattened catfish is what we had for my celebration. He didn't give me a long list of rules. He didn't tell me all the things that I'd messed up and done. We all knew about those. He said, son, it's time to change and live for God. And that was it. He embraced me, he forgave me, and he welcomed me right into the commandment. That's what our Heavenly Father does. That's what my earthly father did. And so I went down there to the old creek. Once I embraced Jesus as my Savior, and I had him baptize me right there in that old creek, right there, the one you see on our show every week. That's my story. And I've never changed since. I came back home, Lisa and I got married, and I became a pastor not long after that, giving praise to God every step of the way. So when you watch us on Duck Dynasty, I want you to know that those waters run deep in our family. And we want you to know that. And we want you to know that your life can be changed for the better. I know with a crowd like this, there's probably somebody struggling here tonight with something. Because every one of us are human beings, right? We need God's grace. Show that picture of our family. When you look at this big group of our family, and you see all the ones on the show, I want you to understand something. There's a lot of mistakes there. There's a lot of renewal, and there's a lot of grace in that one big family. We're just a bunch of beggars that have found out where to find bread. That's all we are. And what has become my favorite verse, I want to leave you with this one tonight. Show that next picture. Here's old Sinai. This is from Psalm 128. Blessed are all who fear the Lord, who walk in obedience to him. You will eat the fruit of your labor. Blessings and prosperity will be yours. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Your children will be like olive shoots around your table. Doesn't that sound like that last scene in Duck Dynasty? That's what drew me to this passage. It's us. Blessed. Yes, blessed for the man who fears the Lord. You got two guys on this stage tonight, along with a bunch more back home in Louisiana, that fear the Almighty God. He's changed our lives. He's renewed us. And now he's given us a mission to impact other people. I know there's going to be some, yeah, you can clap. That's good. Give it up for God. It's not really a response time tonight, but they did tell me, and by the way, these guys, these guys, Youth in Action, I'll tell you something, I'm so excited about what they're doing. They're impacting young lives all over this country. And Si and I are so proud to be able to be here tonight to be able to help that organization. So I really appreciate you and appreciate what they do as well. And they're going to have some folks down here tonight. If anybody wants to talk about anything you've heard or you just want to pray with somebody, there'll be some folks down here afterwards tonight to be able to do that. We are glad to have the opportunity, aren't we, Si?
Yep. Let me ask y'all a question real quick. I hear that there's a tradition that during the football game, before it starts, y'all turn the war eagle loose and he flies around the stadium 3 times and lands on the 50-yard line. Is that true? Yeah. Look, y'all need to train him to lie in the end zone. Okay? That way your football player will know